special meeting of the Bellingham.
Today's August 21st.
August, what did I say?
2024.
Man. August 21st, 12 o'clock special meeting called to discuss the current status of the Bellingham Fire Department's engine needs. We have in attendance, Sahan Shaheen, Michael Connor at this town hall, and on Zoom, Mike Hennessy and Kelly Grant. And we are joined by Roland Laviolette, Joe Calamati, Chief Miller, and start with the chief or, yeah, okay, chief, it's all yours.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for everyone taking time out of your day to meet regarding this urgent matter. So as I was preparing for capital last week, we got into reviewing both engine 3 and engine 5. As I started to get into engine 3, I noticed excessive corrosion and wear on the frame rails, as well as the major components underneath the vehicle. At this point here, we drained the water out of it, brought it over next door to the DPW, asked if we could put it up on their lift, which we did. And subsequently, we realized how poor the frame rail was, as well as the condition of the frame rails, as well as the other components. We had a tremendous amount of rot separation in the frame rail. At that point, I decided and made the decision to leave the truck off the road until we could have it evaluated by the manufacturer. So Tuesday morning, the truck went to the manufacturer, who did an inspection, a 2-hour inspection of it. They recommended the truck not be in service or be on the road, as it would not pass a DOT inspection, which we are required to do DOT inspections. We're no different than any other truck on the road due to frame rail separations in locations of 1.5 inches. So that means the frame rail is expanding and rotting out or delaminating 1.5 inches. It's spreading apart. So with that factor there, I made the decision the truck cannot be on the road. The truck is off the road, equipment has been stripped, and it is now at the Depot Street garage awaiting its future.
Okay. Subsequent to that, Beth had a conversation with Mary McKinnon relative to the options that exist for funding, and some questions about what constitutes emergency status. If you'd like to update on that.
Mary left a message for the Department of Revenue, and what we're looking at is putting through a request for an emergency funding. By their definition, emergency is usually an act of God, act of nature. It's not something like this. The explosion, the gas explosion, that was an emergency. This they may not look at as an emergency. However, I'm going to go through the steps of going through Gateway, getting us signed up for it to see if they'll review it. They review it and then they get back to us and tell us whether they'll accept it or not. The timeline is in the packet that I gave you, showing what the different steps are for the last page of the big packet.
Yep.
And it's the municipal emergency timeline. So what you're going to do is Michael has the motion to read, or if you all agree to do this, let's put the motion forward that it's the immediate threat to person or property. We are not in danger at this point. We've got everything covered. This is to make sure that we get the vehicle replaced. If the chief would explain the timeline of getting, if you go on the list, the stock list
Yes,
now, and when you would get it, like in the spring.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
you could explain that.
So there's what we're looking to do, if we can get this through, is to go what we call a stock pumper. It's not a custom built pumper, it's a stock pumper. There's 2 timeframes that we're looking at. Each month, Pierce builds X amount of vehicles and offers them to first come, first served departments. This list is very short and is sought after by many manufacturers and fire departments, because most communities cannot afford to build a custom pumper. You're looking at a lot of money to build a custom pumper. Timeframes, if by chance we could get on, and we're not going to make it the September list, there was a potential we could have seen a truck by January or February. Now I'm hoping maybe we possibly could make the October list and find something that's going to be close to what we want and make work for the organization as well as the community. That would put us hopefully February, March time of receiving it. But also with that comes the point of the equipment. Our equipment lead times are very lengthy. A mobile radio is 10 months out right now. So when we know what we can do, I would need permission to start ordering equipment because the truck may be in, February, March, or it could be in, but not have the equipment to go with it. With that being said, there's another point. If we miss any of the stock built pumpers, we're looking 18 to 24 months before we would even see a truck here in town. If we were to build a custom truck, which I am not recommending, I'm strongly recommending against it, is we would be 4 years before we see a custom pumper for this community. 3 years before the vendor would even talk to us to build and spec out the vehicle. I do not recommend that at this point here. I would recommend that we find something in the stock category that we could use that would be close to what we're looking for the community and the organization.
What's the big difference between the two?
Stock is, they allow you to, let me back up. Stock is what Pierce would put on for their recommended accessories and components. Custom built, we would build from the frame rail up, everything would be custom built. In other words, we would pick everything.
I kind of understood that. I'm thinking in terms of what's the difference between what they're gonna pick and what we would pick?
So they
Are
would
we
also,
missing anything significant?
no, not really.
So it really doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter. Nope.
And what
no,
would the
sir.
custom truck cost us?
Custom truck, just for the truck base alone, without any equipment, you'd be over $1 million. Just for the base of the truck alone.
Why the prices so different?
When you talk about custom,
Yeah.
you're talking about specific built for an agency. So you'll look at your compartments and they would customize every compartment, cab, pump panel to what we would spec out and what we would like to see.
Okay.
Again, I'm being honest, it's not realistic for us. It's not. A stock truck would work well for us.
If we went with, not that, if you went with a custom, it would be the price at the time that you
That is-
received it as opposed to when we ordered.
That is correct.
So 4 years down the road of inflation.
Exactly. And we're looking at about 20% per year inflation right now in the current market. That's across the fire truck manufacturers, no matter who you look at. That is right across the board.
And if you could go over what we were discussing as far as the frame and whether it's a double,
Yep.
single.
Exactly.
so Kelly and Mike can follow along.
Perfect. One of the reasons I'm looking forward to stick with the Pierce is it's not a Cadillac of fire trucks, but it's not the Yugo of fire trucks. The Pierce is on the top of the middle, so it's like the top 2/3. The unique thing about the Pierce is they offer double frame rails, which for us is very important. Gives you the stability, it gives you the longer life out of the vehicle. Now, with that being said, we're also going to need to look that within 15 years, we'll have to talk about replacing this vehicle because that is the typical life expectancy of a piece of emergency apparatus today. Is 15 years. So that is one of the big factors that we want to stick with the Pierce. And the Pierce is a good quality truck. We need to take out of our minds that the truck we're getting rid of had a frame rail issue. But as I stated a little while ago, that frame rail issue was notorious across the boards. The retired police chief mentioned the Hans, and that's an interesting vehicle. But back in that day when Han was built, their poor frame design was all their C channel was built upright, which held water and routed the trucks out. So historically, Han was probably Cadillac of fire trucks back in the day, but they had their problems as well too. So that's why, again, I'm looking to stay with the Pierce. Is the frame rail, the service, and the quality built of the vehicle is much better than you would get from another manufacturer.
At the risk of repeating myself, because some people didn't know, we're talking about a 16-year-old engine.
Correct.
And you're doing a 10-year capital plan,
That is correct.
but our other engine's 25 years old.
The other engine is 28 years old,
And what is the recommendation and time frame for that life?
this capital. So it's on my capital to be replaced as well. I'm looking to replace 2 pumpers.
What's the condition of that truck?
Poor. Very poor. The only reason why it's not off the road is I don't have a spare and it's running first due out of the South Station. So that's a 1995.
Mhm.
It's beyond even the NFPA recommendations of being on the road. NFPA only recommends the truck being frontline for 20 years only. And then you could refurb it if you wanted to and run it as a backup for 5 more years. But after 25 years, the truck should not be on the road. That truck there is literally the body is rotting off of it, and that's an E1.
And there was the question also about the engine one
Yes.
that's been off the road so much.
So our current engine one is an E1. It is currently in the shop now with major mechanical issues. We are slowly but surely putting it together, and that truck will be off the road right now. It's projected to be back within 4 weeks. That truck, as of the 4-week benchmark, will be off the road for 2 months. We've had a lot of problems with that truck. So I've been here since June 15th. That truck has been off the road more than it's been on. And same with engine 2, which is a KME that runs out of headquarters. That truck has been off the road more than it's been on as well. The plan is, if we can do this, if this board agrees, if we can replace both pumpers, that both the new pumpers would become our primaries. Backups would be whatever we can get for them. We would trade them in, sell them outright, whatever we could do. I'll be honest with you, there's no market, there's nothing there except scrap metal. What we'd be looking to do is now take the current engine 1 and the current engine 2, remove those to reserve pieces, which would get us a little bit longer out with those 2 reserve pieces.
How old is engine one?
Engine 1 is a 2014.
Just, Michael, is that the one we had the engine problems with the manufacturer?
Yes.
Engine 1, that is correct.
Okay, so
Yes,
that's the one, okay.
that is the one. Yes,
Who manufactured that one?
E1, emergency one.
Yeah, but who
made it?
manufactured the running gear, was that Mac, was it?
Cummins.
Ford?
Cummins is the only truck, only motor you can get today. There's no other manufacturers. Cat, Detroit, they don't make motors anymore. Cummins is the only one. Cummins and Packard are the 2 motors you can get today. And Packard is a subsidiary of like a Detroit motor.
So given that you're suggesting that there's a 15-year life and we would potentially be buying 2. Ideally, if we had, what's the complement that's recommended? You're saying we should have 4 engines, or we should have 4 engines. Like when I came in June, both reserve pieces were running as primary engines. Engine 3 was running out of the South Station as the primary, because engine 1 was out of service. Yep.
And headquarters, engine 2 was out of service for repairs, and engine 5, which is the 1995, was running first due.
So under NFPA. And
Yeah, NFPA 1911 and
so if there's
1901.
standards, just for my math,
Mhm.
if we assume the 16-year life, we would be buying an engine every 4 years
Correct.
on a going forward basis.
I think if we do that though, Michael, we could probably push engine 1 and engine 2 further out than 4 years.
Yeah.
I really do, because again, our goal is that we push them in the back, and then engine 1 would stay the reserve for South Station,
Yep.
and engine 2 would stay the reserve for headquarters.
Right, so we've got the dilemma, we've got the situation of having to. The board needs to take a vote just to get to the next step today of emergency status. And then separately, and it falls to you guys to vet it on incoming.
Yep.
Capital. And really the question becomes, are we ordering 2 engines at the same time? Which I don't think we can, because we get, at least on the second one, because it's not emergency,
Right.
we would have to wait till
Yeah.
November.
What I mentioned earlier, we had to get this one done.
So Mike, do you have questions?
Yeah, I have one question for Chief
Yes.
Miller. What happens if an engine goes down right now?
We're gonna run with 1 pumper and 1 ladder. I don't have a backup, and I cannot find a backup, to be very honest with you. I don't wanna,
Your mutual aid.
you're relying on mutual aid, but folks need to understand mutual aid is a gamble.
Yes.
All right, because every other community around us is just as busy. So you may call Franklin, you may call Midway, you may call Milford. They don't have anything to send us. They'll be honest and say, sorry, we can't send you anything. And then that's a delay in getting resources to Bellingham.
Use them, but also, right?
We can use Woonsocket also. On the south end of town, yes, we do not use them. It's too long of a response time from Woonsocket to go north. So we don't use them on the north side of town.
Because we don't have one, yeah.
Is it?
Well, if you call Milford, they don't have one, and Medway doesn't have one, and Millis doesn't have one, and Medfield doesn't have one.
You could,
Franklin doesn't have one. If Woonsocket's got one, it's gonna be faster.
you could, unless somebody else clears up. It's a gamble right now, folks. It really is.
But
I mean,
as I said in the
think
beginning,
it's
we are protected. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
the pumper, we've got
Right.
the crew,
Right.
we are, the community is safe.
For today, yes. Yes.
So what do we expect the reliability of? The engine, I guess. when it's out for, when it gets,
engine one that,
we've dumped a lot of money into
Engine
this,
one.
have we not?
Yes,
So who's fixing it?
Bulldog Fire Apparatus right now. Which out of Hopkinton, that's who's been doing the work on it,
And
because the truck is out of warranty, so
so what are they telling us?
as far as how long it'll last,
Yeah.
I won't know until the work is done, to be very honest with you.
can you explain what the work is that they're gonna?
Sure. So every year we send the vehicles in for service and maintenance, as I said, the DOT inspections, we have the pumps certified, which they have to be, that's mandated by NFPA. We have to, so you do a flow test and make sure the pump works and is proper. During that time, they test the pump, they'll report any leak. Inspection, they found the rear brakes were gone, the rear brake drums were cracked, so right then there, the truck becomes deadline. It cannot be in service. The front brakes, the front shocks, the front wheel bearings, the AC unit, the motor, the injectors when are leaking, and that's why the truck primarily started to go in. And then we say we'll just do the whole service while we're there. As an injector leaks, they have to replace the top of the motor while we're at it, so that's all the injectors, and now they open up and they get into that. So that's the Cummins motor as well too. So this is snowballing. And I think we have to look at, Bellingham as a community, as we grow, we are getting busier and we're going to get busier. I can't tell you that we're not, we are going to. So as we send apparatus in, as we use apparatus more, we're gonna find additional items we need to fix. And I'm just that was just the big things off the top of my head. There's a lot of small things as well too with the truck. I know there's leaking valves. It did pass the pump test. But there's valves that are leaking that also have to be repaired.
Kelly, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
You're good.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Trying to get to an emergency status, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
We get to emergency status.
And
but that's what too.
Right.
Yeah, well, the real question is what if we don't even get that one?
You don't get the emergency, then you'll have to wait
Still
until
gotta-
town meeting.
Okay.
Town meeting, and then what we're gonna do now with the two in the town meeting now? Is that the plan?
Town meeting would probably be requesting the two,
Two, okay.
but that's gotta go be vetted by. I think, common cabinet. Yeah.
The big bulk of bike, we may want to do one in November, then one in May.
Yeah.
Because it'll be the following fiscal year.
Well, the other thing is we'll have an opportunity to see how he went comes back.
Yes, correct. Engine one. Yes.
Or we could. All right, I would like to make a motion for Bellingham Select Board to declare emergency status to replace engine 3 and request approval from the Department of Revenue for emergency deficit spending.
Second. No.
Yeah, no, seconded by Mr. Shaheen.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Approved 4-0.
Michael, one of the things that is in here is to support the capital request itself to purchase the fire engine, yes or no? Is part of Mary's motion.
I didn't read Mary's motion. I didn't have it. Did I read something different?
This is, look at this section.
Yeah. Okay. All right, just for clarity, the motion needs to say support of the capital request itself to purchase a fire engine, yes or no. Amount being requested is estimated at $1.2 million. And useful life of the capital request is 15 to 20 years.
Yep, because you already voted the emergency spending request.
Okay, so I amend that motion to include those other 2 points. So you second,
Second, yep.
and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
Okay, so that's 4-0. You have this, Sylvia?
You always have to get the sheet, my sheet says 1.1 million.
We're going for what?
Yeah.
Email from Mary,
Yeah.
it actually said where the funding's coming from. Yeah.
On the second.
No, I'm going by with the fire chief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we decided to go with 1.2 with the hope that we'll be returning,
Yes,
but we won't have that for more.
correct.
But you know what will happen?
Please, I hope not.
Okay, so as I read this, it's still gotta go before the capital committee and the finance committee.
Yes, and in the meantime, I'll be starting my,
This is, the only purpose of this vote was to get the ball rolling with the Department of Revenue.
Oh, you have a quorum here for the capital committee.
But it wasn't a public meeting.
Wasn't a voted meeting, yeah.
No, it should be clearly an emergency.
We did that for 3 days, 72 hours. All right,
Oh, you did, okay.
the time is 12:24. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, 4-0. Thank you very much for coming on at lunchtime. We'll talk more later.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. Thank you very much. I think
Thank
What else questions can I answer for you?
Well, no, I was just gonna
Wait,
say-
hold on. Before we go, Hillary, I'll need to submit that vote